All right, we are live. Let's give it a few minutes. For those who are tuning in on the recording, skip like 3 to 5 minutes ahead. We'll start then. Let's let everybody get in here. Let's bring up my charts. All right, that's good to go. All right. If you can hear me and see my screen, let me know. What's Apple looking like? Welcome, everybody. If you can hear me, definitely let me know in the chat. And if you can see my screen, we'll start in about 3 minutes. Hey, Jataro, welcome. Cool name. Aiden, it's been so long. Welcome. There we go. How's everybody's weekend? Also, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Hopefully you guys have something good. Well, not if you have something good planned, but somebody planned something good for you. And shout out to all the dads out there. I remember my friend's dad. I'm not a dad, at least not yet anyway. I remember my friend's dad told him being a dad is a thankless job. So for all you dads out there, thank you for everything you do. Also, for those who may be new here for these live classes, be sure to hit the thumbs up or the like button. That's all I ask for in these sessions since they are free, just so the channel can be, the algorithm can be like, cool, people like this, let's tune in, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't done so already, definitely hit up the like button or the little thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. Welcome, Keb. I need at least 50% participation before we start. 2 likes short. So if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up or the like button, and then we'll start as soon as I get my 2 more likes so we can be at 50% participation. If nobody has told you, Keb, thank you for everything you do. It's definitely can be challenging at times. Cool. I got my likes. So, welcome everybody. This is the Let's Learn with Advent class or session. We have these every third weekend of the month, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Sunday, depending on scheduling. But Saturday seems to work best for everybody, so we'll keep it there for now. For those who are new here, this is similar to my Trader Circle class, where you can pretty much ask me anything and I'll help you out when you're trading. Any question is valid, whether it's a beginner question, advanced question, it's all good. There's no judgment here. I was a beginner once. We all got to start somewhere. So, any question that you want to ask, feel free to go ahead and do so. You can put it in the chat. We can go over strategy, options, futures, stocks, crypto, really whatever you want. Trading psychology, which I personally love and one of my bigger focuses. But yeah, whatever you guys want to go over, put it in the chat and we'll talk about it. Let's see. Fit asked, "What's your strategy to becoming a profitable trader?" Great question. So let's bring up my chart. I'll just write here. So there's several different things, right? It's not really strategy is one component of being a profitable trader, but it's a lot more that comes into that, right? To just keep it simple for now, so we're not here for 3 hours, because I can definitely make a 3 hour class just on this. Several components, right? I like to think of it as like the art of being a successful trader, right? Because there isn't any like clear cut path to it. Everybody has their own thing. There's many different things that work for other people that may not work for others, and so on and so forth. So let's just put this as art of being a profitable trader. Some things to start with, obviously, having a strategy slash edge that is profitable. I was going to type in consistently profitable, but the market sometimes doesn't work 100% of the time, depending on what you use, your strategy. Trading psychology is going to be another big component. I would say I want to use the word mastering yourself, but let's just use the combination of mastering slash working on yourself slash knowing yourself. And I'll kind of break those down. I'll keep it here for now. And then, we can talk more if you want. But essentially, obviously, number one, you want to have a strategy that tends to be more consistent in the green or the making money side than it does on the losing side. I personally myself use the strategy by Rob Smith. Shout out to him and rest in peace. I also use some ICT concepts like change in state of delivery and breaker blocks. And that's pretty much the only two ICT concepts that I use. Everything else is basically just a strat. Um, Once you discover that, again, that's going to be one component of it, right? Yeah, Kev, that's the word I probably should have used, discipline in yourself, right? Which number 3. Let me just add that in. / discipline. And I can't spell today, apparently. Anyway, we'll keep that there for now. My misspelling, deal with it. Anyway, so after you get your working strategy, you also need to have the psychology or the trading psychology to be able to weather storms, execute the trade properly, so on and so forth, right? Number 2 and number 3 are kind of go hand in hand, where you have to like have the discipline in order to execute your strategy correctly, right? I can teach you everything I know strategy wise, but if you don't have the discipline to execute it properly and have the patience for it, then it's not going to matter, right? I'm sure you've seen many people who know great strategies, but they continue to fail time after time because they haven't mastered or worked on number 2 or number 3, right? So, for example, let's kind of break that down a little bit. Let's go to a trade on Friday that was absolutely lovely that we took when we were live trading. So right over here, we have our good old little W for those who are familiar with it. Pretty straightforward. All we're looking for in the setup is waiting for a move down from market open. We'll make a low of day. Step 2, we come back up to make the little H crest. The little hump is, you can just call that the H crest. H crest in my bad mouse spelling or drawing anyway. So the H crest, shout out Trust My Levels for that term. And then we're going to come back down as if we're going to complete the H or dead cat bounce for those who know it that way, or bearish TTO in the strat terms. Instead, we're going to make a higher low right over here. And then the first bullish reversal candle, so the first green candle that breaks above the previous high, we're going to go long immediately right there. So the way this trade would look is like this. We're going to get in on this candle as soon as it breaks this high. I usually use the bottom right as my stop loss. You can use the bottom left if you wanted to give a little more leeway. Depending how far they are, I'm usually going to use the bottom right just so my stop is a little tighter. So pretty much right under this red candle. My first target is always going to be the center right over here. In this example, I'm probably going to use the body, even though it's not too far away from the entry, but I don't really like when there's a big wick like that personally. The second target is pretty much going to be when the W completes. This I leave up to your discretion. So you can always just have like an area, right? So like for me, the W would have been completed somewhere over here, something like this, right? Let's move this a little higher. So something like this. This is what this trade looked like for me on Friday. So pretty straightforward. Again, it's really just waiting for it. And then once it appears, you take it, right? Going back into the psychology portion, if you get scared of getting into a trade, then you're literally going to miss all of this because you were afraid, thinking that it might have gone against you, or if you got in, you were going to lose, right? We don't know what the outcome is going to be when we get into the trade. That's really up to the market. Like this setup, even though it's one of my better ones, arguably my best setup, it still loses, right? Just based on probability and the data that I've collected and forward testing that I've done live, this works a lot more than it doesn't work. And when it does work, it works very well. So in this case, if you were afraid of getting into this trade thinking that you were going to lose, then you literally missed this excellent trade, right? So to answer your question, Fit, these are kind of some things that you want to look into when you are wanting to become profitable. Because again, knowing the strategy is one component, being able to execute it properly and efficiently is the other portion. I'll stop there for now to get to other questions. Let me know if that answered your question. Also, welcome for those who are coming in. Whatever questions you want to ask, put it in the chat. Anything is valid. We can go over any topic you want. Cool. All right, let's see. Marcus, does the strat work for crypto? Yes, it does. Me personally, I don't really use it to day trade. I only really swing trade crypto with it. I'm usually looking on the weekly and the monthly time frames when I'm taking swings for crypto because they can take a long time depending what's going on. If I were to day trade it again, I did find success with the 1 hour, but anything under that is just too much noise personally. Cool. Let's see. How to find key levels. Key levels is pretty straightforward. You know, you don't need to really overcomplicate it. Let's go on a chart that I don't have anything on. Let's go to MYM. Actually, let's go to SPY. So what are key levels? Key levels can just be areas of interest. Again, just to keep it pretty straightforward. Don't want to make it too complicated. Let's mark off this week's high. So prior week high, since we're going to be in a new week on Monday. Prior week low. And then let's go to the daily. The daily and the weekly low are pretty much the same. Previous day low. Previous day high. And then let's say if you want to just add some other stuff on it. What's that? 59678, give or take. Previous day, 50%. So here we have some potential key levels, right? So in this example, let's say you're looking to go short for the sake of the conversation. Let's go on the 4 hour, or maybe kind of the same thing for the 1 hour. Let's say we're looking to go short. Pretty much, if you want these lows to break to go short, you would pretty much wait until that breaks. And then again, you can mark like previous to another week's low, so on and so forth as a target or what have you. If I were to take this bullish reversal on the 1 hour time frame, assuming we open up as an inside bar, I can have the 50% of the prior day as a target, these previous candle highs, this previous day high, and then the previous week high as an examples of some targets or some key levels. Don't make it too complicated. It's pretty straightforward. But that's an example of some key levels that you can use. Did that make sense? Harmy or Harmus? However you pronounce your username. What time frame do you use for that strategy that you explained? It depends. Let me share this screen to kind of show you how I break it down. Give me 1 sec. Let me know if you guys can see this screen. And let's zoom in here a little bit. So these are pretty much the setups that I look for. And in parentheses, I have the specific time frames that I look for these setups on. I got to update this and move the SysD model to ICT. Anyway, so this is how I generally look for these setups, right? So on these specific time frames. Obviously, the 4 hour, pretty straightforward. It's on the 4 hour time frame. So let's go back to my chart now that we've seen this. So let's say in this example that I'm looking to go long on Monday, right? Let's say we open up as an inside bar or as a 1 bar, right? We open up here. And then as soon as we break above this 2 candle or this candle's high, this green one, I'm going to go long. So as soon as that high breaks, I'm pretty much going to go long immediately. Probably going to have my stop under this low over here. Again, you can aim for the 50% of the previous day, previous candle highs, wicks, bodies, whatever you want to use, so on and so forth. So the trade might look something like this. I'll take some off here. I'll take some off at that wicks high, and then over here. And then you can leave a runner if the price continues going in your favor. So that'll be an example of how you can use the strat to get into a trade pretty much on any time frame. Although if you are new to it, you really want to focus on the higher time frames first. So if you're going to be day trading, you may want to be looking at like the 30-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour to take day trades off of. Anything under, let's say, like the 15-minute or 5-minute, you really want to be very specific with the setups that you're looking for, because not every, if you go on the 5-minute, there's like a million reversals that are happening just in this area, right? You want to have more context when it comes to specific trades. Like I showed you guys earlier on the W, right? What is the context that I had for that trade? We had a higher low, we had a retracement back up, then it came back down. It failed to break the day's low and got bought up. So what does this tell me? This is telling me that sellers are in control, right? Because they're pushing price down. Buyers stepped up a little bit. However, sellers are still in control, so they're bringing price back down. However, sellers failed to make a lower low and break this low. And then buyers stepped up and took price back and reversed it. So pretty much is basic market structure, right? We're making lower lows, so on and so forth. Or let's make this a little cleaner. Making lower lows, X, Y, and Z. We fail to make a lower low, make a higher low instead, and come back up. And I'm just using the strat to get into the trade. Because traditionally, as a double bottom trader, they get in once the center is broken. For us, the center is our first target. So we're getting in a lot earlier than they are, right? So the risk reward is a lot better, at least the way that I take it, compared to the traditional way to take a double bottom setup. So once you start getting to the lower time frames, you really want to get more context with the setup, not just taking a reversal just because. If you're not familiar with the strat, if you go to the YouTube channel or my YouTube channel and you go to the playlist section, there's going to be one called the strat. It goes over the entire strategy. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Cool. Let me know if that answered your question a little more fit. Chris asked, how do you usually confirm the break of a level either way up or down? Chris, what do you mean exactly? Like, are you asking like what additional pieces of confluence I would use to take specific level breaks? Gotcha. So it really depends, right? With the strat, I like to keep it simple. I don't want to overcomplicate trading, which a lot of people tend to do. So let's go on SPY real quick. For those who know of the watch list that I post, the watch list is pretty straightforward, right? Let's delete all of these. So we have this 4-hour level here, 4-hour level down there. So again, pretty straightforward. If on the 4-hour, because it's a higher time frame, I'm just going to take the initial break regardless. Obviously, you may want to get some additional confluence in the sense of if we had like a really strong, like bullish day, I'm probably not going to take the short to the downside because there's a lot of buyers like in this area, right? We can see over here when price broke down, it only went down a little bit. It didn't like, head lower than we may have wanted to. So obviously still use discretion for some setups. But let's say like for this one, if it breaks the low, I'm probably going to take that without really thinking too much about it. If I were to take the top break, I would still take it, but I would have in mind that we have these big wicks over here, right? Which is telling me that there's selling pressure. So if I do break to the upside, I may expect some selling pressure in this area. So if it doesn't hit some targets, or if it doesn't hit even one target, that can just be something to take note of where the probability of the setup may not work as good as you may want it to. Let's see if we can get another example. So for Tesla, I pretty much just take it regardless every single day. Again, same thing. If it breaks this low on the 4 hour, I'm pretty much going to take that. If it breaks to the upside, I'm going to take that break and just wait until some targets are hit. And then, of course, let's say for the sake of the conversation, for those who know about broadening formations, which are pretty much just support and resistance for strat users, let's say we have a broadening formation here. So price came up, rejected off this level. If I take this reversal to the downside, that's telling me that this level here is still being defended. So if we do break against that, I have an additional confluence, is that we're rejecting off of a resistance level. So sellers are probably still going to be strong in that area. Now, if we're at a resistance level like this and price is breaking above, I'm not going to take this trade to the upside, because you don't really want to go long at resistance and you don't want to go short at support. You really want to wait until those levels are cleared and then you can take it. Let's say, for example, we had one candle here. Actually, let me just draw this over here. Let's say we had like a candle closing above, like this, above this level. Then I'll take the next candle break to the upside, because what this candle is telling me is that buyers were strong enough to close above that level, and whatever sellers were here are pretty much gone. So it'll be safer to take the long above this area as opposed to right at the resistance level. Does that make sense? Sweet. Glad that you look at the watch list and take some trades off of it. Dominic asked, best place to start. Dominic, how new to trading are you? Like, do you know anything? Do you like know nothing at all? Or where are you at with that? Basic concepts. So if you're relatively new, if you haven't already, I'm always a big Candlestick Bible guy. So you can find the Candlestick Bible for free online. Just look for the PDF. You can read up to page 111, because after that it goes into strategy. You're more than welcome to learn the strategy that I know, in my opinion, is the easiest strategy of all time. Pretty straightforward. Um, you know, Pretty simple to learn. And then you can add other things on top of that once you understand basic price action and everything else that the strat teaches. I find people when they're new, they started like adding all these EMAs, all these RSI indicators, all these things. In my opinion, that's detrimental to your growth in the beginning as a trader, because you really want to focus on understanding the chart and understanding what price is doing. And then you can add other things to it to give you more confluence and so on and so forth. But yeah, definitely check out the Candlestick Bible if you haven't already. And from there is learn the strat. And then if you want to add other things on top of that, definitely do that. I definitely encourage you to paper trade as you start out. You want to paper trade because you do not want to use real money yet until you know what you're doing, right? There's a lot of people that I've seen that lose a lot of money because they don't know what they're doing. I think, well, not I think, somebody came to me a while back. I think they lost like $10,000 or $15,000 before they met me, before I helped them out, and they didn't know what they were doing. And in my head, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, why would you why would you shred $15,000 while you're learning how to do this instead of just paper trading? But if you don't have proper guidance, what can you do? On the bright side, they met me before they shredded even more. So, you know, works out. So Again, Dominic, Candlestick Bible. You can also, let me bring this up here. You can also check out my YouTube channel if you would like. I have a lot of material that can help you out as a beginner trader. Let me also, Dominic, what are you wanting to trade? Like, are you wanting to trade options, crypto, stocks, futures? Like, what specifically? And while you're answering that, to your question, if you go to not the Discord channel, the YouTube channel. Also, thank you guys for 4,000 subscribers. Highly appreciate it. Definitely appreciate every single one of you. So in the I kind of have the YouTube channel a little organized in the playlist section. So if you go to the trainings and walkthrough, I have a beginner's guide here. So if you are a beginner, definitely check that out. I also go over like other things. So like if you are want to know more about options, you can check out this options videos that I have there. If you want to get into futures, I made a futures video there. And then I just have like walkthroughs and trainings, like how to use different platforms and such. So if you're like using Thinkorswim, there's a video that you can check out there. TradingView, Webull, so on and so forth, and some other things that I have here. So you can definitely check this section out. Like I mentioned, the strat for fit. So if you go into the strat section, I pretty much have a bunch of sections here for the strat that you can check out and its concepts. What else? This is like my life coaching. Since I'm a life coach as well, I have some videos in there for you guys too. Uh, Psychology of trading and building your trading system. This is another good thing that you guys can check out. I have a bunch of videos in here, risk management, journaling, all that good stuff that you can check out. What else? Trader Circle recordings and the Let's Learn series, which I have here somewhere. Oh yeah, right here. So other past Let's Learn classes, you can see them there. The Trader Circle was similar to this, but I usually hold these on Zoom every second week of the month. Anyway, that's some material that you can start off with. If you want to paper trade, like regular stocks, you can definitely use Thinkorswim, Webull, TradingView. I'm not sure if you can paper trade options on it. I know they do have an options chain that they added. It should be on the bottom right. So they have like an options chain here. I'm not sure if you can paper trade or not on it. Yeah, I don't think you can paper trade yet on it, but you can see the chain. At least I don't see anything here to like actually get into a trade. But yeah, Webull is definitely good for paper trading. I use Thinkorswim, which pretty much has everything you need. Just the learning curve of how to use the platform is a little steep in the beginning. So it's a lot to take in. Take your time with it. It's definitely a lot to go over. Webull, the platform in itself, the user interface is a lot easier to use. So really whatever you prefer. I love Thinkorswim just because everything is there. Everything's integrated, similar to Webull, but in my opinion, Schwab's or Charles Schwab, the people who you can use Thinkorswim through, their customer service is top notch. So if you ever have any questions, you can just call them and they'll help you out. Webull, maybe the customer service got better, but I usually always just chatted with them. I never really called them. But yeah, you can start off there. Also, welcome for those who are coming in. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up or the like button. I will greatly appreciate that. We need at least 50% participation. So I need at least 3 more likes before we continue. And for those who also came in a little later, Whatever questions you have, definitely put them in the chat and we will go over them. Whatever you want to talk about, whatever struggles you may be having, we'll talk about it. Lewis, you asked, how do I use volume as a point of confluence? What is the mentality behind it? I personally do not use volume anymore. The last time I used it was about 3 years now. Yeah, like 3 years or so. I don't like literally the way you see my chart is how I trade. I will like use fibs and things like that too. But other than that, the way you see my chart is how I trade. Volume, the idea behind it is, let's say, as an example, speaking about confluence, right? Let's say that we get a break above this level, and let's say the average volume for every candle is like 2,000. Let's say we get a break above, right, this level, but the volume here is 10,000. That's letting us know that there's a lot of buyers stepping in or a lot of volume on the buy side that's being brought into the market, meaning that it's not just breaking on low volume, right? Like if, let's say, there's only 2,000 orders being used to break this level, that may not be as strong as 10,000 orders breaking through this level, right? So that's the way you can use volume as additional confluence. Me personally, I don't really care too much about it. For those who were in the chart and chill this morning, Sam posted, man, what was, I forgot the indicator. He might have made it himself. But there's an indicator that shows, let me see if I can show you guys a screenshot. Uh, Let me share my screen again. Or actually, let me just bring this up and then I'll just take a screenshot for you guys. It's probably going to be a little blurry. So he uses this thing where it'll like show prices and then like all the orders that are there, right? So there's like a lot of sell orders sitting at whatever level this is. So if you're looking to go short, that might be some type of confluence for you, so on and so forth. Did that answer your question, Lewis? What are these numbers under the candles? These numbers? Before I get into that, Harms, what Discord do you know me from? Hey, Real, how are you? Cool. So what do these numbers mean? So for the strat, there's three different scenarios. There's a 1 bar or an inside bar. 2 bar is just a directional bar, either breaking the previous high or previous low of the candle. And then a 3 bar is an outside bar, mother bar, engulfing bar. Pretty much just means it's expanding price, right? Price is expanding its range to see where it wants to trade within or out of. And then you pretty much take the different scenarios and combine them together for different setups alongside the other components of the strat. So instead of just saying, hey, there's an inside bar candle break to the bottom, we'll just say, hey, there's a 2-1-2 down. or hey, there's a 2 down, 2 up bullish reversal, or 2 up, 2 down bearish reversal, so on and so forth. So if you haven't already, Harms, definitely check out the strat section in the YouTube channel. It goes over pretty much the entire strategy. So a big price move with low volume could be a fake out. Yeah, it essentially, Lewis, right? So price moving higher with low volume usually means that it's, there's not really many sellers present bringing price down if it's going up. However, when sellers do get in control, they're probably going to bring price down pretty fast. Carvana finally reversed. I didn't look it up, but somebody was saying that pretty much like all this price up, like the last 3-4 weeks, has been on low volume. And I was patiently waiting until we finally got the short, because I have been shorting Carvana since 345, because in my opinion, this stock has no business being at 345 or being anywhere where it's at, right? Literally what? Like 3 years ago it was $5. 2 years ago it was $6, and now it's at 300 something. They got obliterated because there was like a fraud report that they were like doing some fraud stuff. In my opinion, if you're a company that does fraud, you don't magically stop doing fraud. You just learn how to hide it better. So I think they released some news 2-3 years ago. They're like, hey, we cleaned up our act and we're better now, and so on and so forth. To me, it's a bunch of crap. So Carvana has to get obliterated. I usually don't have a vendetta against the stock, but this is probably the only one I'll have. Anyway, so we can see on the weekly how we're having, like, we're getting kind of these like lower, smaller candles, and then once the sellers came through, really big sell candle compared to pretty much the last ones. So pretty much almost the entire last week's candle that we had, this was what, about almost $50. So that 1 week pretty much took out 2 weeks worth of movement for the bulls. So let's see what happens moving forward. And they keep on beating earnings, which is ridiculous. I got to look at their financials again, because I'm not sure how that business is sustainable. Cool. For those who are coming in, whatever questions you want to ask, put it in the chat. Any question is fine. How do I know if it's a good drop in point? What do you mean by that, Marissa? If I know if it's a good drop in point, I'm not understanding. Or are you asking, how do I know if it's a good trade to take short? When to buy in? So it depends, right? This specific trade, I got in earlier as a starter position just based on the monthly, because I'm like, all right, if price does come back up into this area, then I'm just going to open up a short, a pending order short, or a starter position. A starter position, for those who don't know what that means, that simply means if I want to put, let's say, $1,000 into a trade, then I'm going to maybe put 250 to begin with, and then I'm going to add more as it continues in my favor. So I had a short sitting right above this wick because there's a lot of selling pressure there, and I wouldn't take that risk. And thankfully, it worked out in my favor. And then once the weekly, when I'm swing trading, I usually like to look at the weekly reverse to look for setups in that direction. So in this case, for the weekly, I added some more on this drop over here. at 316. So I added, once it broke that week low, I added some more. And I took some off from 345 at 305. So right now I'm just hanging out with my positions. And I'm probably going to be aiming for 248 next. They have earnings coming up in July, but we'll see what's up with that when the time comes. But yeah, if I'm going to be swing trading and things are bullish, I'm probably not going to be looking for shorts on a lower time frame to swing. I generally feel safer when the weekly reverses. So now I can look for even more short setups to add to my position if I wanted. Right now I'm hanging out because I had a good initial position and where I added. Now I'm just going to see if it can continue moving forward. Thoughts on Tesla this week? Let's look at it. Tesla. This is actually funny. This is one of my setups, but a little dirty looking. Tesla quarterly getting bought up from this two down, this failed two down, looks like. Monthly is inside bar. Weekly is bearish from 2 weeks ago, but looks like we're getting bought up to potentially look to reverse to the upside. Daily is bullish with the 3 up, although we still have some selling pressure there. Market structure wise, definitely looks like looking a little bullish for Tesla. We're kind of bouncing off. Whoops. We're bouncing off this area here. If the weekly breaks above this high, I'm pretty much back on board with Tesla being bullish. Looking for these highs to be broken. And then, of course, aim for the other highs to the left side. As always, a tweet can ruin your day with Tesla. So I personally don't swing Tesla. I just day trade it. But generally, you want to look out and see if next week breaks above this high. We do have FOMC this week. So if you are looking to swing trade anything, just be mindful that we have that on Wednesday. And it can either go really great for you or really bad for you, depending what our Uncle Powell wants to do for us. So I'm leaning bullish for Tesla, although I generally don't like to go into I don't like to go into a week with like a big bias. I still just do whatever the chart tells me to do because, Tesla could be bullish, but then a short setup might appear. So I'm going to take that. You don't want to go long just because you want to go long, and you don't want to go short just because you may think, oh, well, the market can't go higher. The market can definitely go higher for a long time until you get obliterated and you have $0 in your account left. So I'll have an idea of what price action is doing and like time continuity, so on and so forth, and what the trend is doing. But I'll still have in mind that I'm going to follow what the chart says. If the chart says go long, I'm going to go long. If it says to go short, I'm going to go short. Let's see. You're looking at 140 Palantir calls next week to see if it can break out of 140 next week. Will, you're not in Palantir yet, but you're looking to get into Palantir. Is that right? Gotcha. That's actually hilarious. It literally stopped right at 140. That's beautiful. So, pretty much, strat wise, for those who trade the strat, if this were to break this high, we would pretty much go long as soon as it breaks that high. We do have some selling pressure there, so you may want to take that into consideration. If it were me personally, and I were to get into this, I would usually use about 7% of, like 5 to 7% of my account in a swing trade. For this one, I'll probably be around 4 to 5% of my account, just because we're getting some selling pressure there. However, because we're at all-time highs, if it breaks that high, we don't have any data to see if there's sellers anywhere here, right? So price can definitely continue heading higher once it breaks that, but we got to see what next week wants to do. Or it can break and then reverse. We don't really know. We just got to see what happens. So strat wise, I would take this as soon as it breaks above, because we have several different things in our favor. One, we have time continuity, or the trend. The trend is in our favor because pretty much everything's bullish. Quarterly, super bullish. Monthly, pretty much super bullish. Weekly, bullish, reverse from the prior week. So we broke above last week's high, made a new high. Yeah, everything is in our favor to go long on Palantir. I'm actually a little salty because my buddy, he's into Lord of the Rings. And when he came to visit me, I was like, bro, you got to get some Palantir just off principle for you loving Lord of the Rings. And I told him to get some at like $44. I got a little bit with him just like as a joke, but he bought a lot more than I did. And he's sitting very well right now. And it's actually hilarious because that's his first trade ever in the market. And I'm like, damn, first one is really always free. Let's see. You would take profit at 141. Personally, that's a little too quick to take profit, in my opinion. If we look at the ATR, or the average true range of Palantir, it moves approximately $6 a day. I would probably take profit every $2 that it goes in my favor. However, if your target is 141, definitely take it and follow your plan. This is just what I would personally do. You can also consider partialing out. So let's say if you have 3 contracts, maybe you take 1 or 2 off at 141. And then for the last contract, you move your stop loss to break even or slightly above. So it's a winning trade and you don't lose on the trade. So you're going to make money no matter what. And then you can leave that last contract to see how much more you can get out of the trade. Is the market closed this Thursday? Let's find out. Is the market closed for Juneteenth? Yes, the stock market will be closed for Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday in 2025. The New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ will not be operating on Thursday. Futures will more than likely be open. What I would probably say, Will, since you are new to this, I always encourage people who are new to paper trade. You don't really want to use real money as you are still learning. And then once you're consistent in paper trading, then you can start using real money. At least that's what I would do. So you can definitely paper trade this trade and see how it works out in your favor. And hey, if it goes in your favor, good job. Your analysis was pretty much on point. Cool. What other questions do you guys have? We can go over your trades. We can go over whatever you're struggling with, whatever you want to learn. If you want me to look at a stock. IWM. You know what's funny? I'm waiting for IWM to go under $200 because I want to buy a lot of it. All right, we have a failed 2-up on the week, which is actually lovely because I need it. Not I need it, but I want it to go under $200 because because I want to get 100 shares to sell covered calls on it. And they pay dividends too, which is nice. Let's see. Still got 15 more days to go on the monthly. Where is it rejecting off of? Ooh, interesting. We're pretty much bouncing off that 50 fib that I drew off the monthly. Let's definitely see what happens next week. Looks like it wants to head back down and maybe hit these lows over here. Definitely bullish, higher time frame wise. Weekly failed two ups, or looks like it's probably going to reverse to the downside on the weekly. I would definitely say long term bullish, short term bearish. Looking at the weekly. See if we can hit 205, 202, 200. Do I have a free course or videos on your approach to your technical analysis and how you dictate your trades based off of price action intraday for day trades mainly? Yes, I'm not too sure when you got in here, Will, but essentially, if you go to the YouTube channel and you go to the playlist section, it'll pretty much have the strategy that I use right over here. You can pretty much find the exact way I trade in the Trader Circle section. Pretty much is free coaching. You just have to sift through all the videos, which there's a lot of. What else? The one-on-one coachings are private. Those are just between me and my students and clients, so you can't see that. There's a trade recap. So trade recaps, we used to have these every week. We now have these every 2 weeks. So I would go over my trades and everybody else's trades. You can check that out. Playbooks have, these are some of my setups that you can study up here. Trading psychology and your trading system, pretty much everything that I do, you can find everywhere here. Just got to go through all the material and content. If you do want to work with me more directly, you're welcome to go to the more section over here, and I have like my paid services in this WAP link. And if you're attending this class or seeing this, you can definitely let me know, and you can get a Father's Day discount or special pricing, as they say. Can you show an example of a trade you got into with the strat? Aiden, I'm not sure if you were here in the very beginning. I'm not sure if you stepped away, but we went over one earlier on YM. So pretty much this W right over here. It's not the cleanest W, but W nonetheless. Right? So we have this move down right here, which is the left leg. We have this move up right there, which is the center. We have this move come back down right over here with the higher low. As soon as this candle right here broke above this high, I went long. So the trade looked like this. I took some off when it hit this body, and I took the rest off when it hit this high. Oh, whoops. I'm not sharing my screen. Thanks for reminding me. There we go. My cut is fresh. My cut is a week old. I get it. I'm getting my haircut next week. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I do enjoy my natural waves. No, I don't use a do-rag to fall asleep with. I probably have better waves if I do, though. So I pretty much, so as I mentioned from trade earlier that I took on Friday, we have the left leg right over here, right there. We have the move back up, part 2, which is right there, these 3 candles. We have the reversal back down, which is right over here of the W, and then the first bullish reversal to the upside. So this green candle right here, as soon as that breaks above this red candle's high, I'm getting in long. I took some profit as soon as it hit this body. If it is a valid W, you can use the wick because it's going to break that, right? Usually, though, if there's like a lot of selling pressure, like if I see like big wicks in this area here, I'm probably going to use the body because sometimes it'll get right there to hitting it. It doesn't quite hit the target, and then it reverses and you get stopped out. So you can use your discretion when it comes to this. So first target would be here. And then again, for the second target, I kind of leave discretion up to you guys. So your second target for me was like in this area here, right? So like anywhere in this box, you could have taken some profit. One thing that I have to get back to doing that I haven't really done in the last 2 weeks is like trailing candles. Well, this week I wasn't really feeling too good. So usually once I hit my targets, I just got off immediately. However, it would have been helpful for me to leave a runner for this setup because I could have just trailed my position after every candle closed and I would have gotten an additional like 30 points once price reversed right here. But 170 points, can't be mad at that in about 30, 40 minutes. Do you ever use Thinkorswim? Yeah, I pretty much use Thinkorswim every day when I'm trading options. I trade futures on Tradeovate. Sometimes on Thinkorswim, it's just Schwab charges ridiculous fees for futures. For example, I got mine down to I think 1.80 or 1.90. So the standard fee, base fee for futures is I think it's 225. And this is one way, 225. So round trip, it's 450. That's micro or mini for those know about futures. For those who trade minis, you know that 450 for one micro is ridiculous, right? On Tradeovate base, I get charged maybe $1.40, $1.70 round trip, right? Which is literally less than one direction for futures on Schwab side. Yeah, you don't have to pay for data on Schwab, which is fine. But if I can pay for the data to save on the fees, I would, because data is just what? $15 a month, maybe $20 if you want like additional things added. But if I were to trade 10 micros, that's $45 for one trade, which is double what I would pay in a month for data, which to me is ridiculous. So you can always call them to lower it depending how much you trade. I just gave them my trade log for Tradeovate and then they lowered it down for me. For those who trade options, if you do use Thinkorswim, I know it's 65 cents a contract. You can give them a call, and depending how much you trade, they'll lower it. Mine is at, I think, 48 cents or 50 cents. I think 50 cents. So I went from 65 to 50. And if you trade a lot, you can get that down pretty low. The lowest I've seen is 40 cents. Anything under 40, you got to trade with big boy money, like $100,000 positions probably, or just trade a ridiculous amount every year. But yeah, Thinkorswim, love it. I just wish the user interface was a little cleaner like TradingView, but you know, do what you can. So I do my TA on both Thinkorswim and TradingView. It really depends. I'll have like one computer screen. This platform right now is TradingView. It's free to sign up. However, if you want, like, depending on what you're trading, you might need to pay for data. I personally am paying for the Plus plan, and I pay for market data on top of that. If Thinkorswim had a cleaner platform, I wouldn't be using this. So I pretty much pay like $250 a year, maybe 300 with the data, because the interface is super nice and it's easy to teach on this platform compared to Thinkorswim. But yeah, I use the Plus plan. So when I'm trading, I have my 4 time frames up, as opposed to the free one. It's only one time frame or one chart that you can have up. But with the Plus plan, I can have 4 charts up, and you can have it whatever you want in a square, horizontal, different options here, pretty much whatever you want to make it. But yeah, TradingView, it's free, it's easy to use, easy to mark stuff up. Thinkorswim, everything's free there. So usually I'll either just have my Thinkorswim open on one screen and then another screen with TradingView so I can see different things, because I don't like to have like one monitor kind of packed with things. So I'll have, in this example, like YM on TradingView, and then on Thinkorswim, I'll probably have like gold on all 4 time frames that I have over there. That way I can see 2 tickers with a lot of information. Cool. Any last things that you guys want to go over? We're like 5 minutes over time, but we can go over another question or two, and then we'll go enjoy our Saturday. Gold. Good old gold. You already know the answer to gold. Gold is freaking mega bullish. We just broke last month's inside bar. So definitely looks like we want to head higher. Weekly definitely closed pretty strong with that 3 bar. We just got to clear all these sellers that are hanging out here. But yeah, gold is definitely bullish. 4,000 before the year's done? We'll find out. I can definitely see 3,700 as we spoke the other day. Red is sellers, green is mainly buyers. Yes, that is correct. Dominic, on the trainings and walkthrough playlist in the YouTube channel, I think the first video is the beginner's guide to trading. I have an overview of like reading candles and things like that you can check out. And remember, for those who didn't catch it, if you're new, definitely check out the Candlestick Bible until page 111. It's mainly like pictures and stuff, so it wouldn't take you that long to go through it. Cool. Before we wrap up, what was everybody's biggest takeaway? What was the biggest thing that you learned today? Hey, of course, Dominic. Of course. For those who are new here, we have these every 3rd weekend of the month. So far, we're going to continue using the schedule as 8 p.m. on Saturday. That usually tends to work for everybody pretty well. Absolutely, Marcus. So what was everybody's biggest takeaway? What was something that you learned today? Something that helped out? Learn where to start at? Yeah, definitely. You got here 5 minutes ago? Nah. Cool. Will, so the same link that you guys use to watch this is the same link that you can use to watch the recording. So as soon as I end this stream, you can refresh the page and it'll start from the very beginning. So you can go through the information we went through. The biggest thing I'll say for the beginners out there is definitely take your time and be patient with it. Trading is definitely a skill that you need to learn. As always, I always enjoy this analogy. If you go into med school to be a surgeon, they're not going to let you operate on day one or month one. You got to go through years of training and study before you can operate on a living human being. Same thing for trading. Doesn't have to be years, but you really want to at least get a solid foundation before you use your real money, because it can go south real fast. And I get it, you're new, you want to make money quick, but trading is definitely the place where you don't bring um that mentality to trying to get rich quick and stuff. Is the Candlestick Bible on your YouTube channel? It is not, Donna. However, for those who do want the Candlestick Bible, if you have trouble finding it online, just send me a message on Discord. If you know me on Discord, or a direct message, you can email me at ceruleanmindacademy@gmail.com, and then I'll send you the PDF that I have. And then, you can go about studying it. Cool. Well, thank you guys as always for coming out and asking your questions. I will see you guys next month. Enjoy your Father's Day tomorrow for the fathers out there. As always, be patient, be disciplined, work on what you need to, and take your time. I'll see you guys. Enjoy your night.